everyone, and welcome once again to the Temple Institute Parsha class. My name is Gedalia Meyer, and I'm podcasting from Behaalotecha in Israel. The phenomenon of prophecy has long fascinated people of all walks of life. As far as we can tell, this remarkable ability has been rumored to exist close to the dawn of written communication. It has never been adequately defined and seems to have been deliberately left as a vague experience that almost defies explanation. But it has always been there in the so-called primitive societies and in so-called sophisticated societies, among the rich and poor, the powerful and the helpless, the monotheists and the pagans. One of the most remarkable things about prophecy is that it is almost always understood as what it rarely is, and almost never understood as what it is, at least according to the Bible. Ask anyone about prophecy, and they will tell you that it is some uncanny ability to tell the future. This is pretty much a working definition of prophecy. While this definition does fit sometimes with the biblical examples of prophecy, more often than not, it has nothing to do with what prophets were up to in biblical times. There is no question that people in biblical times wanted to know what was in store for them in the future. But those people were usually known as soothsayers or diviners or some other omen reading term. If anything, the Bible tends to condemn these types in no uncertain terms. Prophets, on the other hand, were usually praised to high heaven and seen as the epitome of what a devout and righteous individual could achieve in life. So what were they doing if not predicting the future? Well, for one thing, they talked an awful lot about the present and the past. Just because somebody doesn't necessarily have the ability to accurately predict the future doesn't mean that this person is not wise and knowledgeable. On the contrary, knowledge and wisdom about the past and the present may be a more valuable barometer of truth and insight than the future. The future is not here yet, and in a sense, doesn't really matter right now. The past, although it is no longer here, is nevertheless our greatest measuring stick for sizing up our situation. It is really the chief means we have of guiding ourselves in the present and into the future. The present, which in a sense never really exists, although in another sense is the only thing that exists, is reality right now. To know what to do right now is the holy grail of life. We have the past as our primary guide for that all-important question. Thus, the key role of the prophet was not necessarily or exclusively to predict the future. It was really to accurately read the past and to guide people in the present. If that prophet managed to throw in a few glimpses of the future, who would complain? This week's Parsha is called Behaalotecha. That long and ominous-looking word means "in your ascending," a phrase that introduces the procedure described in the Parsha for the lighting of the candles in the 7-branch candelabra in the tabernacle. This candelabra, or menorah, had to be reached by a certain amount of ascent, hence the name of the Parsha. There are many different events that take place in this Parsha. In a sense, it is almost a microcosm of the entire Torah. There is stuff about the tabernacle, details about journeying through the wilderness of Sinai, a little tidbit about the Ark of the Covenant, some classic biblical complaints of lack of food, complete with a description of the manna, and a strange interfamily squabble between Moshe and his brother and sister, Aharon and Miriam. There is even a somewhat detailed description of the first and only Passover celebrated in the wilderness, which introduced the possibility of bringing the Passover offering a month after the proper date for those who missed it for one reason or another. With so much to choose from, it is not easy to focus on one subject. Nevertheless, we will direct our attention to the final event of the Parsha, that family squabble. The source of the problem is identified clearly as Moshe's wife. It isn't clear if this is the same wife that he took when he ran away from Egypt to the land of Midian to escape the clutches of Pharaoh. That woman was named Tzipporah, while this one goes nameless. On top of that, this woman is described as Ethiopian, and this apparently was the source of Moshe's siblings' problems with her. Whatever we make of this as the problem is an interesting matter, but it is not our focus. It is what happens next that is our goal. God gets involved in the discussion, calling out to Aharon and Miriam and giving them a mini lecture on the nature of prophecy. This surprising couple of verses seems to emerge almost out of context in the course of the immediate events that prompted it. Yet it turns out to be the primary source in the Bible for the actual nature of prophecy. Quote, "Please listen to my words. If your prophets would be of God, with a vision to him I will become known. In a dream I will speak with him. This is not so with my servant Moshe. In all my house he is deemed trustworthy. I speak with him mouth to mouth, in a vision with no allegories, and a picture of God he sees. So how are you not fearful of speaking against my servant Moshe?" It is not easy to translate these words. There are many different translations that result in radically different interpretations. The translation above attempts to stick more or less closely with the original Hebrew, while also making some sense in English. The basic idea behind the whole speech is that Aharon and Miriam should not be so willing to criticize Moshe, since he was on such a higher level than them as far as the prophetic experience was concerned. That much establishes the relevance of this speech to the immediate matter at hand. But it is in the nature of prophecy that anyone who really looks into these verses finds the truly revelatory message. Apparently, there are different levels of prophecy. It isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. There are prophets and there are prophets. The more garden variety prophets are those to whom God speaks in visions and dreams. Moshe apparently was in a class by himself in having God speak with him mouth to mouth in a vision with no allegories. What these words actually mean is a matter of great debate. It is one of the primary subjects that Jewish philosophers and mystics of the past discussed and debated. But what is clear is this multi-leveled structure of prophecy and the unique nature of the prophecy of Moshe. There are, of course, major questions on all of this. First is the technical question concerning that phrase, "if your prophets would be of God." What does that mean? Are there prophets who are not of God? Apparently the answer is yes, since prophecy is not necessarily limited to the strict monotheism of Judaism. Prophecy, according to the biblical definition, was more likely a general term for those who speak or proclaim things of great importance to their society. Their prophecies may have been concerned with war or economics or social issues. They may have been religious in nature or entirely spiritual. There are false prophets in the Bible, just as there are prophets who are reluctant to reveal their prophetic insights. Prophecy need not have been something of religious concern. It may have been over something as simple and as trivial as the finding of a lost donkey. That being said, there is nevertheless such a thing as a, quote, prophet of God. This was someone who had truly attained something that could be called a vision in the classic prophetic sense. However, even on this level, there are gradations. The lower level, that of Aharon and Miriam and every other prophet other than Moshe, was to experience a vision or a dream of something of relevance to the current or future situation. This probably means that their insight was not of the nature of normal intellectual thought or emotional feeling. It was a vision in the true sense of the word, though not necessarily something that they saw with their eyes. We all see things with our minds. We do this so often that we don't even consider it to be anything remarkable. It is just the way the mind works. These experiences, in a sense, are crude versions of the prophetic experience. They are the mind working on its own with little or no input from outside. They may not even involve the usual experience that we call thought. They are more like allowing the mind to roam and discover what it may. The prophet of God is doing exactly this, but with a specific direction in mind. That direction is towards what they hold to be the highest and holiest ideals of reality, namely God. The visions they attained or the dreams they dreamt were the results of their efforts. They may have gained nothing worthy of being recorded in a book like the Bible. It may have been an entirely personal experience that could not be shared with others, but it was something that, in some way, reached out beyond the normal confines of the mind into a region that could be called divine. With Moshe, it was this plus more. The mouth-to-mouth expression, which is frequently translated as face-to-face, is a way of saying that his prophetic experience was without any personal filters that may have clouded the message. His visions were without allegories, meaning that they were straightforward and absolutely clear. Consequently, he was able to see a true picture of God in the sense that God was as real to him as a salami sandwich is to everyone else. While this may sound like an impossible exaggeration, the Torah states it fairly clearly. It is possible for a human being to attain such a level of awareness, but nobody said that it was easy to get there. To see a true picture of God is to see a true picture of reality. This was the forte of a person like Moshe. This was why Aharon and Miriam were told that they were out of line in criticizing Moshe for something about his wife. Whatever the issue was there, Moshe was the one who had the clearest vision of the way things were. His perspective on the situation of the Israelites at any given time and his understanding of what God wanted out of them elevated him to being above the petty concerns of family squabbles. To speak to God mouth to mouth or face to face means to be able to look reality in the eye and not cloud it with whatever one wishes to see. This is the true task of the prophet, to gain a vision of the way things really are and to use that vision to guide people to act accordingly. When understood in that way, it certainly makes one long for the return of this long-lost human ability. Maybe someday it will return to us. Shabbat Shalom.